If you want the best PC in the market, and I'm talking about the highest FPS while gaming and also the best one for content creation at the same time, then this is the right video for you. I'll show you the best gaming PC build in 2024 that's amazing for content creation and productivity work as well. And even though most people can't afford it, if you can afford this system, trust me when I say your friends are going to be impressed. Of course, I will show you the exact level of performance that you can expect with this system, and the link to this PC will be down below in the video description. My name is Valentino. That being said, let's start. I will be showing you the exact level of performance in just a moment, but before doing that, I want to say that this PC is ideal if you want the highest FPS, especially at 4K resolution, and you want to play the highest demanding games out there, for example Starfield on ultra settings. But of course, you will also achieve the highest FPS when it comes to esports titles as well, like Valorant, CS2 and Fortnite, so you can max out any monitor refresh rate. And you can also create content, do productivity work, AI and machine learning, media encoding, anything you want you can do with this system. And I mean, some people must have the best of the best, so if you feel like that's you, then this is going to be the perfect PC. However, I wouldn't recommend you buying a system like this one if your concern is money. If you are debating whether to buy a PC like this or not because of its price, then most likely it is not going to be the best option for you. And don't worry about it, because I will give you some cheaper alternatives that are going to be amazing for gaming as well at 4K or just any resolution throughout this video. Now, the key components for this system, well, first of all is the graphics card. Here we have the RTX 4090, which is the fastest graphics card in the entire market for both content creation and gaming at the same time, and it is also the most expensive one in the market. Then for the processor or CPU, we have the Ryzen 9 7950X3D, which is one of the fastest CPUs for gaming in the market and also for content creation and productivity work. Then you get 4 TB of Gen 4 SSD, which is plenty of storage to download a bunch of games and also to transfer heavy files if you want to do something like content creation or you need to be transferring heavy files all the time. And since you get Gen 4 speeds, to transfer those heavy files is going to be very fast. Then you get 64 gigs of DDR5 memory with fast timings, which is way more than enough for gaming. To be honest, 32 gigs of RAM is also way more than enough for gaming, but having 64 gigs is going to make your life easier if you're a professional content creator, and it's also going to be ideal if you want to do streaming and have a bunch of tasks and processes open in the background. So this is going to be amazing for this top tier PC build. And then you get a combination of the NZXT H6 Flow case and a 360 liquid cooler for the CPU from NZXT as well, which means that you will get plenty of airflow, so the CPU and GPU temps are going to be really good, and on top of that, it's going to look amazing, really clean looking PC. In my opinion, one of the best aesthetic systems out there. Now let's talk about the exact level of performance that you can expect with this system. Since you get the RTX 4090, you can expect 133 FPS on average, and this is a test made by Twigtown in high demanding games on ultra settings at 4K. So I'm talking about games like Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2 and games of that nature. Also, the RTX 4090 is the fastest one when it comes to ray tracing, so if you want better visuals and you want to turn on ray tracing, well, you can expect the fastest performance in the market out of any graphics card as well. Now, if you are planning on playing at 1440p and not 4K, then you can expect around 200 FPS on average in high demanding titles, and then if you want to play at 1080p, you can expect around 220 FPS on average in these very high demanding games on ultra settings. However, if you buy this system, I would recommend you buying a 4K monitor for the best visuals, especially if you want to play high demanding games where you want to see the best visuals and FPS is not as important. But if you want to play esports titles and you want to compete at a very high level, let's say you want to play CS2 and you want to achieve the highest frame rates, then you can buy a 1080p or 1440p monitor, and as I said before, you can max out the refresh rate, so you can buy a 1080p 540Hz monitor if you want to, or a 1440p 360Hz one. Remember, with this system you are just maxing out the frame rates in both esports games, in competitive settings, and also high demanding titles on ultra settings. For the rest of the components, you get an A-tier rated power supply that's 1500 watts, which is going to be enough for this system, and also it is enough off for future upgrades. So let's say you want to upgrade your graphics card from the RTX 4090 down the line to something like the RTX 5090 or 5080, which are coming out probably in 2025, then you can upgrade it without having to replace your motherboard because this one has plenty of wattage. And then you get an NZXT motherboard with all the features that you need for gaming, and of course Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are included here. Now this PC is quite expensive. By the time of filming this video, it's going to cost you around $3,800, and maybe when you're watching this the price is different, so it might be cheaper, it might be more expensive. So I do recommend you checking the latest prices and availability from the links down in the video description. And then if you want to focus on content creation and gaming second, then I recommend you replacing the CPU from the Ryzen 9 7950X3D to the Ryzen 9 9950X. If you change the CPU for gaming, it's going to be just around 1% slower, so it's basically the same for gaming, but it is going to be slightly faster when it comes to content creation, media encoding, or just any type of productivity work. However, the reality is that both CPUs, the Ryzen 9 9950X and 7950X3D, are going to work very similar for both content creation and gaming, so don't really overthink it. Pick the one that you want. Let's say you want to do gaming first, then pick the 7950X3D because it's slightly faster, but it is going to be very similar when it comes to content creation compared to the 9950X. And if you want to do content creation first, the same happens with the 9950X. It's going to be slightly faster for content creation, and for gaming it is going to be really similar anyway. In my opinion, you really can't go wrong with any of them. And by the way, if you prefer a white aesthetic instead of a black one, I got you covered, because in the video description you will find this exact same PC in white version. Whether you want content creation first or gaming first, you will have both alternatives in white down below. Now, what if you don't want to build a PC yourself, but you still want to achieve this same exact level of performance? Well, you have two options. You can either buy all the components anyway and then have a PC specialist in your area to build it for you. They will charge a fee from $50 to $150 depending on the PC specialist, or you can buy a Prebuilt PC instead. If you decide to buy a Prebuilt PC, well, for $3,800 you can get a system with the same CPU and GPU combo as the gaming first PC build with the Ryzen 9 7950X3D and RTX 4090, so it's going to cost you about the same price and you will be achieving the same level of gaming performance. And then if you want to do content creation first, then for $4,150 you can get a system with the same CPU and GPU combo as the content creation PC that I've mentioned today with the Ryzen 9 9950X processor. So for content creation it's gonna cost you around $300 more, and if you want to do gaming first, then it's going to be around the same price. Both links to those pre-built PCs will be down below as well. And as I said before, if you are debating on whether you should buy this system or not because of its price, then most likely you shouldn't buy this system, and I have a cheaper PC alternative for you which is going to have the same exact specifications, so you will be getting the same exact level of gaming and content creation performance, and the only difference is that the brand of the components is going to be different. So instead of going with NZXT, I went with Gigabyte MSI and also changed the power supply to a 1200 watt power supply, which is going to be enough anyway, and you will have no issues regardless. Now, if you make these downgrades, the only difference is going to be the aesthetic, and in terms of performance it's going to be the same, and the total price will be $3,200, which is still quite expensive of course, but it's not as expensive as $3,800. And remember, you are getting the same 64 gigs of RAM, 4 terabytes of SSD, same graphics card in the 4090, and the same CPU, which are the most important components when it comes to the level of performance. And if you want to go cheaper, let's say you have $2,500 to spend, or maybe you have around $2,000 or less, then I highly recommend you watching my video on the best gaming PC builds of the month for every budget and every resolution, with benchmarks as well. You will have that one in the top right of the screen and in the video description alongside the $4,000 PC build that I showed you today. Thank you for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.